D, wait for it, light bulb.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So, with the release of the Morbius trailer this past week or whatever, I've just been noticing online a lot of people don't know who the characters are in this movie. And so I thought, I personally don't know too many of the characters just because Morbius is not a comic book that a lot of people read, and there's not a lot of overwhelmingly huge Morbius fans. I myself don't read Morbius comic books. The only Morbius that I really know, I mean, I have read some Spider-Man comic books where Morbius is in them, but as far as the character itself, I don't really know too much about Morbius except for what I learned off of the 90s cartoon, which I love that cartoon. If you get a chance, go back and watch those. They're so great. I just love it. But Morbius, they did take some liberties with that character in that cartoon, but it's understandable considering the fact that it's for children and everything. So I thought I would take this time to break down each character in the movie that is going to be in there, and then that way you can get a better understanding of who they are. So, without further ado, let's just dive right into these characters. So the first one I'm going to explain is, of course, Morbius, or Michael Morbius in this movie. Now, he is the antagonist of this movie, and he's being played, of course, by Jared Leto. Now, he is a scientist who is suffering from a rare blood disease who attempts to cure himself with the DNA from vampire bats, but instead becomes afflicted with a form of vampirism. It's like a pseudo-vampirism and everything. And then he gains the ability to fly, as well as superhuman strength, speed, and healing abilities. He also has like that sonar that you see in the trailer and everything, and all that stuff. Basically, he tries to kind of do what the lizard did, where he, instead of using lizard DNA to grow his limbs back, he uses bat DNA to heal his blood disease, because, you know, vampire bats and blood, because vampire bats drink blood, yada yada yada. You get what I'm saying. So super fun with him. He looks great in the trailer when he turns full Morbius. You can check out my trailer reaction here to see how great I thought that was. So then the next character I want to talk about is, I believe his name is Lucas Crown. I think, I'm not sure how you say his first name, but he is also known in the comic books as Hunger, and that is, of course, being played by Matt Smith. And he gets a small little like clip of him in there. Now his look in the comic books is a little bit different than in this movie, but they might change his look in this movie, like they did with Morbius, just give him more of a comic accurate look. So this is Morbius's friend and colleague who suffers from the same rare blood disease. Now he, which is he's like a pseudo vampire. He has pseudo vampirism. And he eventually gets, when he becomes a vampire. Now he's got hunger that has transformed, he has been transformed. Now Hunger has been transformed into a being similar to a vampire. And as a result, after being attacked by Morbius, because Morbius in the comic books does change him into a vampire, he is not a true vampire, as the source of his transformation is scientific. Now he is basically the bad guy of this movie, and Morbius is more of an anti-hero, and this guy is definitely the villain of the movie compared to Morbius will be the hero, but he's not really a hero in the comic books and everything. So then he is the bad guy of this movie. So then moving on to Martine Bancroft, and now this is Morbius's fiancee in the movie, and now, I'm assuming in this movie that she is going to die, but in the comic book, she is actually turned into a vampire, and she also carries the pseudo-vampirism that Hunger does. And then she is turned into a vampire also by Morbius, or maybe in the movie by Hunger, and then she might be in the sequel, or in one of the, it might be in the sequel as a villain, or if they do like a trilogy of movies, she might be a villain later on. But she does become a vampire also, so I'm assuming in this movie that she's gonna die, but right before she dies, Morbius is all like, oh, I don't want you to die, and then he like bites her, or however he's going going to make people vampires, and she becomes a vampire / villain for the next movie. So then the next character I want to talk about is Simon Stroud. Now, this is going to be played by Tyrese Gibson, and now in his early career, he was recruited by the government into the CIA, and then during his service, he encountered a Russian super spy, Black Widow, holler, and then the two became lifelong friends, as she even owed the young American spy a favor, which later on he takes up, but we're not going to get into that. Now, he later left the service and joined the NYPD. Now, the exact reason for him leaving still remains a mystery in the comic books. But now, in this movie, he is an FBI agent, actually, and he is hunting Morbius. Now, in this movie, he does have what looks like to be some cybernetic arm, which he does not have in the comic books. He also is white in the comic books, but they race-bent that. It's totally fine. And I'm pretty sure that cybernetic arm was Tyrese's take on the character, like, hey, maybe you should, maybe this guy should be have a cybernetic arm to be cool and everything. But in the comic books, he later on, in the comic books, he does later on go on a hunt for Morbius, and together they battle Hell Eyes, which we're not going to talk about. And the reluctant team of Morbius, Martine Bancroft, and Stroud later battle actual vampires at Mason Manor. So maybe that's going to be something along the lines of this movie. For instance, Morbius has to help Stroud battle Hunger, who makes all these pseudo-vampires and everything. So that'll be interesting to see. And then there's, of course, the last character that I want to talk about, and that is, of course, Michael Keaton, who is playing Adrian Toomes, a.k.a. Vulture. Now, if he is Adrian Toomes in this movie, what this could mean going forward in the future is they're obviously doing some world building, and maybe this is not Kevin Feige approved, but if they are building up a world, and then this could lead to the Sinister Six, which Morbius was a member of at one point in time, and maybe we won't get the classic Sinister Six that we want, but at least we're going to get one, and I'm assuming that that would mean the villains from Spider-Man that we've seen before would be coming into a Sinister Six movie and everything, fighting Spider-Man, and I just want to real quick touch on those. So the first one we got is obviously Vulture. We get Vulture in here, and he was played by Michael Keaton and everything, and I like that character. I don't know if you did or not, but I personally liked it, and I think that that's great. We would also then get Venom, who was also in a Sony movie, and like I said, we're doing some world building, so obviously there's some crossover from the Sony movies and also the MCU movies. So we'd get Venom in there, and then we'd also get Morbius from this movie, and because Sony's doing it, but then Morbius would be, you know, one of the members of the Sinister Six. And then moving on, we'd get Mysterio. Now, I know he died in the MCU, but did he really die? We could bring him in. He is also a member of the Sinister Six, the original ones, and that would be great to see him back. I love Jake Gyllenhaal in that character, so it would be great to see him there. Then we'd also get Scorpion. We saw a little bit of him. We didn't see him in his Scorpion suit, which I'll talk about in just 2 seconds. But we did see that character that plays a version of that character that does play the Scorpion in the comic books. So it'd be great to see Scorpion join the Sinister Six. And the last one to come up in the Sinister Six is the Shocker. Now, we did see the Shocker in the first Spider-Man movie, and it would be great to see him in there. Now, to get the 2 suits of the Scorpion and more of the Shocker's suit, we would get with the Tinkerer would be a member. Now, he would not be an official member because that would make the Sinister Seven, but he would help make their suits and stuff, and kind of like amp up the technology in that, and just give them a little bit more to work with. And it'd be cool to see, it would really be cool to see Scorpion's suit. I'm curious as to what they'll go with, if they're going to go with the cybernetic one where he's the bottom half of him has actually got the legs like we saw in the Spider-Verse, or if we just see him in a suit like we do Vulture and stuff. So tell me, what do you guys think about all these new characters in the Morbius movie? Are you interested in seeing this movie? Are you excited about it? Which character are you most excited about seeing on the big screen and being brought to life from the comic books? Go ahead and share all your comments in that section down below. If there's anything I missed, you can also leave that down below also. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. You know, I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!